Hello and welcome back, dear listeners, to the Sherlock Holmes series from Arthur Conan Doyle's His Last Bow. Today, we present the fourth story in our sequence, The Adventure of the Bruce Partington Plans. This is a high-stakes tale of espionage, treason, and brilliant deduction involving the security of the British Empire itself. It features the rare appearance of Sherlock Holmes's even more remarkable brother, Mycroft, and takes us deep into the foggy streets of London and the shadowy world of international spies. Set in the thick yellow fog of a November day in 1895, this adventure highlights Holmes at his finest, using observation, logic, and courage to protect vital naval secrets. I will elaborate every scene, character, and deduction so you can vividly imagine the tension, the heartbreak, and the triumph. Settle in, imagine the gas lamps flickering in the mist, and let us begin. It was a dreary, fog-bound morning in Baker Street. The dense, pea-soup fog pressed against the windows of 221B, turning the great city into a world of shadows and muffled sounds. Sherlock Holmes was in one of his restless moods, pacing the room like a caged lion, when the doorbell rang sharply. Mrs. Hudson announced an unexpected and most distinguished visitor. Into the room stepped a massive figure, tall, portly, with a commanding head and steel-gray eyes. It was none other than Mycroft Holmes, Sherlock's elder brother. Mycroft rarely left his rooms in Pall Mall or the Diogenes Club. He was a unique figure in the British government, a man whose vast intellect served as a central clearinghouse for all departmental information. As Sherlock once described, Mycroft was the British government in many ways. For him to venture out in such weather meant a matter of supreme national importance. Mycroft sank heavily into an armchair, his face grave. With him was Inspector Lestrade of Scotland Yard, equally solemn. Mycroft wasted no time. A most annoying business, Sherlock. The Prime Minister is upset. The Admiralty is in chaos. You must drop everything. The crisis? 10 pages of top-secret plans for the Bruce Partington submarine, a revolutionary new weapon that could make naval warfare as known then obsolete, had been stolen from a secure office at the Woolwich Arsenal. This submarine design was Britain's most jealously guarded secret. 7 of the pages had been found in the pocket of a dead man, but the 3 most vital pages were still missing. Those 3 could allow a foreign power to build or counter the weapon. The dead man was Arthur Conan West, a young, promising clerk at the Arsenal. His body had been discovered early Tuesday morning beside the underground railway tracks near Aldgate Station, his head crushed. In his pockets, the 7 stolen documents, a small amount of money, a checkbook, and 2 tickets for the theater, but strangely, no underground ticket. He had been on his way to the theater with his fiancée, Violet Westbury, the previous evening when he suddenly rushed off into the fog and vanished. At first glance, it seemed obvious. Young Cadogan West had stolen the papers to sell them to a foreign agent and had been murdered during the transaction. But Sherlock Holmes, as always, saw deeper. Why take theater tickets if planning treason? Why no money from a sale? Why no ticket on his person? And how did his body end up on the railway line in that peculiar... Holmes, Watson, and Lestrade began their investigation at Aldgate Station. The fog had been impenetrable that night. A passenger had heard a heavy thud on the line just before the train reached the station, but could see nothing. Holmes examined the points and curves in the track with intense concentration. Points, he muttered. The points. He formed a brilliant hypothesis. The body had not fallen from a train compartment, but had been placed on the roof of a carriage elsewhere and shaken off when the train jolted over the points at Aldgate. Next, they visited the grieving fiancée, Violet Westbury. She described Cadogan West as an honorable, patriotic young man who had seemed troubled in his final days. He had spoken of how easily the secrets could be betrayed and how much foreign agents would pay. On that fatal night, they had been walking to the theater when he suddenly cried out, dashed away, and never returned. They interviewed Sidney Johnson, the senior clerk who had locked the safe. He was a reliable but morose man. The plans were kept in a triple-locked office, building key, room key, and safe key. Only 2 men officially held all 3. Sir James Walter, the distinguished head of the department, and Johnson himself. Sir James, a man of spotless reputation, had been devastated by the theft and had since died, apparently of a broken heart. His brother, Colonel Valentine Walter, confirmed the details. Holmes examined the office. He noticed that the iron shutters did not close perfectly. It was possible for someone outside to see inside at night. The case was growing more complex and dangerous. Using Mycroft's vast network of information, Holmes identified a prime suspect, Hugo Oberstein, a known foreign agent living in London. Oberstein had suddenly left the country after the murder. His house backed onto an above-ground section of the underground line where trains often stopped or slowed at a junction. the perfect spot to place a body on a train roof. That night, Holmes and Watson took a daring step. They broke into Oberstein's empty house under cover of darkness. In the room overlooking the tracks, they found smudged grime on the window sill and a telltale bloodstain. An underground train rumbled to a stop directly beneath the window, confirming Holmes's theory perfectly. The murderers had killed Cadogan West, placed his body on the roof of a stopped train, and sent it on its way. The 7 less important papers were left in his pockets to frame him as the traitor, while the vital 3 were kept for sale. Holmes also found cryptic agony column advertisements in the newspaper from someone signing as Pierrot, arranging a shady deal. He placed a similar advertisement himself, luring the remaining conspirator back to the house. The trap worked beautifully. Late that evening, a nervous man entered the house, Colonel Valentine Walter, brother of the late Sir James. Confronted by Holmes, Watson, Lestrade, and the imposing Mycroft, the colonel broke down and confessed. Colonel Valentine Walter was deeply in debt. He had been bribed by Oberstein to steal the plans. On that Monday night, he took the documents using his brother's keys. Cadogan West, who had been suspicious and following him, witnessed the handover at Oberstein's house. In the struggle that followed, Oberstein struck West a fatal blow to the head. To cover their tracks, they placed the 7 papers on the body, laid it on the train roof outside the window, and fled. Oberstein kept the 3 essential pages, which could not be quickly copied. The colonel, terrified, agreed to help trap Oberstein. He wrote a letter pretending the final vital page was still available for sale. Oberstein, greedy, returned to England and walked straight into the police trap. The missing plans were recovered from his luggage. Colonel Valentine Walter later died in prison, while Oberstein received a long sentence. Back in Baker Street, Holmes and Watson reviewed the case by the fire. Holmes had once again used pure logic, from railway points to window views to newspaper advertisements, to unravel a threat to the nation. For his services, he received a beautiful emerald tie pin from a very high source, implied to be none other than Queen Victoria herself. This adventure reminds us of the quiet heroes like Arthur Cadogan West, who gave his life trying to stop treason, and the extraordinary minds like Sherlock and Mycroft Holmes who protect the realm from the shadows. In an age of growing international tension, the Bruce Partington submarine plans represented the future of warfare, and Holmes ensured Britain kept its deadly advantage. The thick fog of London had lifted, justice had been served, and the Empire's secrets were safe once more. Thank you for listening to this detailed narration of the adventure of the Bruce Partington plans. A story of patriotism, betrayal, genius deduction, and high-stakes espionage. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment with your favorite Holmes moment, and turn on notifications for the next story in the collection. Which case shall we tackle next? Until then, stay vigilant in the fog. Dear listeners, you never know what secrets the night may hide.